there's pattern recognition, and you understand that if there's a large portion of
Are you
people
calling me a
that say,
liar, motherfucker?
no. I'm saying that I think right now
You're calling me stupid. Okay. Go ahead.
No, I'm not calling you stupid. No, but you understand that if there's a group of people that say one thing and it starts to be the prevailing context nationally of what that phrase that they're saying means, you understand that you can't just walk into the room and use that phrase and expect people not to associate you with the group that says that.
Again, you're conflating a prescriptive argument and a descriptive argument. I understand that that's what will happen. That's why I had the fucking panel, because I think it's a problem that that's happening. So I want to get together with a bunch of people who agree that this is happening and talk about what should happen. So I'm saying should the vice, yes, that's what I just described. White people are being squeezed in this vice where it's not okay to be white. You're going to be hated and slowly turned into a minority, but you're not allowed to have any of the things that other minorities have.
What's it going to take before white people can say they have white pride? Because it seems like, from what everyone's saying, the concept of black people don't know where they're from a bunch of different places, so they say they have black pride. That applies to white people too. So what's it going to take for white people to be able to say they have white pride?
I think we should just let them have it now.
Yeah, you can say it, right? Yeah, you can.
We can?
Say it. I'm just. Yeah, you just might be misconstrued.
No, wait.
Like they can't.
Like even if you're okay with it, like, but yeah, the rest of the world isn't, right? Like, obviously it's a problem. Yeah.
All right, all of us, tweet out. I am proud of my white heritage.
I'm good on that one, Chief.
On
My account's made it pretty far. I don't want to lose them right now, okay?
I'll tweet it out too.
I can do it.
Thank you.
I'm proud of the fact that I'm white.
Wait, you can't type that, Max. You don't count as white, no?
I said my hair. I have white heritage. We all got a little.
Oh shit.
At least.
All the Nazis argue would tell me you Jewish guys don't get to be white. You don't count as the same thing.
But. Listen, maybe after the alt-right or the groypers or whatever stop ruining white pride for all the non-racist proud white people, then we can maybe talk. But unfortunately, they've kind of poisoned that phrase a little bit. I think a really good thing that you could bring up actually is as like acknowledging that political leaders, especially who ride on the back of white grievance, never really do anything about it. Like, what did Trump do? He gave tax breaks to billionaires. He put his fucking family all in the White House. Bolsonaro filled his administration with big business leaders and fucking ripped through the Amazon and got rid of gay marriage. And then like Boris Johnson had the shittest lockdown response. Like a shitload of people died, and then he basically just like lied to the public for years until he was eventually kicked out by his own party. So yeah, well, I don't know what the distress like what white people are looking for, but you know, it's not that.
All right, I think that right now, like, this is kind of going back to why Mr. Girl was mad at me from the beginning is the talk of systemic issues and whatnot, is that it seems like a lot of the anti-white sentiment exists more so in social circles or social environments. Aside from Twitter, I will grant that Twitter can be considered a system, sure. But generally speaking, it's not like there's this policy that is causing this. So I think that a lot of the times when talking about like, how do you even change the attitude, it can be really complicated, because how do you? Like, how do you stop people from thinking that they're somehow more virtuous by being a white person tweeting how much white people suck?
Well,
like,
reparations, I think could be
white people.
I could get behind that.
Reparations for white people. No, I was going to say that I think reparations for black people will be perceived by white people and by me as a systemic anti-white policy.
The time has come. At last.
Relatively. It's also a pro-black policy. I'm not saying it's only that. I'm just saying that there is a lens through which you can look where it's like helping one person, not helping another. The problem with getting your housing loan denied if you're black is if they give it to a white person. So it's all relative.
Yeah, if you want to take white pride, just go use it in positive ways. We'll form a more positive association to it, and then you won't be stereotyped. If you want that, that's the answer, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It seems like there's an unending parade of people who use it negatively to always stoke the fire, though, so white people could never use it.
Yeah, you'll have to just
white people, the architects of our own demise, once more.
Yeah,
that is why I just tweeted out, I am proud of my white heritage, and I know that you guys are all doing the same. And we're gonna Oh, good.
Well, if white
that
people are
counts.
causing other white people's demise, I think I need to go tweet white people suck.
No, that's the problem.
That's
We don't want to make it worse.
related to that. By the way, Loner, you should ask some white people what they think about Trump's Supreme Court picks if you don't think that they think he did anything for them. Here's the question. Does the concept of white privilege foster and encourage resentment for white people? And if so, is it worth it? The concept of white.
I think white privilege is a really good thing to understand in the classroom, but I think it almost exclusively has to stay there. Like, it is just so toxic and damaging to public discourse that people either intentionally or unintentionally just can't understand. There's just no point to ever use the phrase. It just fucks everything up.
Kind of
What do you
agree with
think
Destiny there, partially. Because the
What do you guys
concept, like,
mean?
white people do have privilege for sure, and a lot of privilege that is afforded to white people is literally on the basis of the fact that they are white. Maybe it's my majority privilege as well, but I also agree that it's kind of like the phrase toxic masculinity. Like, anytime you hear it, it's just someone being like, shut up, you have white privilege, you can't talk about this, and it's not really helping anything.
What do you guys think it does in the classroom where it's a good thing? Who do you think it helps?
I mean, it's good to understand that, like, certain classes of people can be disadvantaged for a lot of reasons, right? There could be, like, attractiveness privilege, there could be height privilege, there could be ethnic privileges, there could be, you know, a neighborhood where you live, depending on, like, there's a lot of things that I think it's good to understand that when we're looking at, like, wide groups of people to figure out, like, why some people do okay and some people don't do okay. It's probably good to have those conversations. But when you weaponize all these statements, like, really bad things happen.
Right, and I think that, like, it's also interesting to think about it because there can exist a white privilege on more of a statistical level, but a lot of the times that is misapplied to just an individual person. Like, if you're working a 9 to 5 and you're barely getting by on minimum wage, and then some, like, lefty comes up and tells you that you have white privilege, then odds are you're going to take extreme offense to that because you're thinking, what the hell did I get that I haven't earned, right? And it just harms discourse. It really is kind of a useless term at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's even possible to keep in the classroom, to have it out, something that's so easy to weaponize that you could teach it at all and have it stay
I think
there?
I think if you're going to use it, you have to understand that it's first of all that it doesn't really tell you that much about any specific individual, and also just that actually sometimes right wingers kind of accidentally do this where they kind of like they basically just make the intersectional argument, as they'll say, well, you're calling me white privileged, well, I'm poor and I'm 4 feet tall and I've only got one arm, how am I privileged? Well, that's an intersectional approach to privilege. I think if you're going to understand one kind of privilege, you'd probably understand like all of them.
Yeah, I think just because we're bastardizing terms doesn't make the term in itself useless. I think it makes the people that are making those arguments useless. I think white privilege has a definition, and when, like y'all were saying, when we misapply it and use it for in like personal conversation, it doesn't make sense. That's not what it's meant to represent. It's meant to be like a systemic or a cultural thing, and when people apply it to individuals, especially individuals working 9 to 5 with one arm, it doesn't make sense, right? So y'all are really upset with the abuse of the term, not really the term itself.
Yeah,
I'm upset with the term itself.
Racism, just like
This could
sexism,
apply though to the
about-
white pride thing too, right? Like white
yeah.
pride, just the fact that it's been bastardized, we might argue, doesn't then mean that it can't be used in some other different context. Whereas with white pride or white privilege, we can think of a better way to phrase it, then maybe that'd be better.
Yeah, I think the term is flawed because when you say I have white privilege, you just mean I get treated like I should be. I get treated normal. I get you know, I
yeah,
apply
but
for a
normal
job
means
and my
white,
application.
right? That's the issue.
Well, I know, but you're saying I apply for a job and I get the job. You know, if my application is successful, that's normal. That's what you would expect. To call that a privilege doesn't really make sense. I think it sets the bar for normality at like being treated like a black person is normal. And then white people are like have got special privilege, but that's not really true. I think being treated like a black person is abnormal in most situations. It's below the bar.
Yeah, wherever you want to put the barometer is fine.
I know, but I'm saying that the word privilege puts the barometer at a person of color has the normal expected experience. White people get all these special privileges. We should take that away. We should treat white people the way we treat everybody else, which is like shit. That doesn't make any sense. That like it would make sense to shouldn't you want to frame it that we should treat people of color the way we treat white people? Shouldn't everybody get treated? And again, I'm speaking not on Twitter and in my circles, but in the justice system, shouldn't everybody get treated the way white people get treated?
Everybody should have white privilege.
Yeah.
Right. So that's not the word privilege doesn't really make sense. The word privilege makes you want to take the special treatment away from white people. It's geared to make you want to pull white people down.
I can agree with that with the phrasing, but maybe I would be more than happy to be corrected here. But isn't it true that if there are people in the country right now who are treated poorly or are not as fortunate as white people on the basis of the fact that they're not white, wouldn't that then almost demand that white people do have a privilege solely because someone else is misfortuned for not being white? Or am I wrong there?
If you and I go to a restaurant and they're like, Hunter, you're not allowed to use the bathroom. And then I go to the bathroom, do I have a special privilege? Like, it's not the VIP room, it's just normal. You're supposed to be able to go to the bathroom at a restaurant. But I feel like there's something bad's being done to you more than something good's being done to me.
Right, so rather than a privilege, it's more of inequality directed at me there.
Yeah, right, because it's like, because you're not like, well, fuck, if I can't go to the bathroom, Max shouldn't be able to either. And I feel like it engenders that sentiment of like, well, fuck these white people in their nice houses, driving their cars and having their jobs and shit. Fuck them. We should all fucking live in the inner city. Like that, but doesn't make any sense.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think that you're right that it can easily be misapplied there too.
That's right. I agree. I don't know.
So
I agree. Yes.
Nice.
Get rid of the term then. We got
rid of the term.
Mr. Girl wins.
Mr. Girl wins.
If you are getting rid of it, you've got to get rid of all the other ones, right? Like good-looking privilege or like tall privilege or whatever, right?
But that's not
no, I think
like all my privileges are going out the fucking window now. Great.
No, because a really good-looking tall person gets extra shit. They get a job that they don't deserve. They get a tip that's more than 20%. So that's not. We shouldn't all be treated like that. We should.
I don't know, but if a black and white person are applying for a job, and the employer says picks the white person, but only because they've got some like internal like racial bias, and the white person taking the job they didn't deserve, right?
Exactly.
No, I don't think that's how it works.
Why not?
What?
Someone else is being disqualified on the basis of their race, right?
Yeah, I would frame it that way, not that the white person. Like, yes, I don't, because like a lot of white people are applying for the job.
But it's a privilege that you get to kind of like leapfrog over other people who would otherwise be more competitive.
No, you're not leapfrogging. They're just being sunk.
Okay.
You can say this with any privilege, right? You're just saying, I want to look at the glass half full. That's what you're arguing.
No, I'm not.
He's saying that, like, imagine you look at a person with 2 legs, and we call those people advantaged people. He'd be saying, well, hold on, we shouldn't call people with 2 legs advantaged, because that's assuming that, like, having less than 2 legs is normal. We should be calling the people with 1 leg disadvantaged.
But if you put a 2-leg person if you put a 2-legged person into if you put a 2-legged person into 1-legged person games, then I guess they do have the advantage.
Yes, you can engineer a situation to make what we're saying not make sense. But if you don't do that, it's about where you're setting the barometer for normal. So it's not, you can't just take all kinds of privilege and lump them together. That's the problem. I'm saying white privilege is a misnomer. You're not actually saying that white people get special benefits for being white. You're saying they get treated the way that people should be treated. That's all it means. What you're really saying is that people who aren't white don't get treated well.
Pretty people just get treated the way that they should be treated.
No, they get treated better.
It's really ugly disadvantage.
No, they get treated better than they should.
No, it's an ugly disadvantage. It's a short disadvantage.
I don't think that's true.
No, it is though.
Well, it's a pretty well-known fact, I believe, that like fat people are less likely to get a job as compared to a good-looking thin person. Does that mean that fat people are mistreated, or does that mean that thin people have a privilege?
It means fat people are mistreated, but at a certain point, if you're super pretty, when we talk about pretty privilege, we're talking about people who are much
like me.
more...
Yeah.
People like Steven, who are much more attractive than the average person, who get,
all sorts of opportunities you couldn't imagine.
Money and fame that the rest of us could only dream of.
Does it matter if everyone is fat? Which is normal?
Yeah, I think that moves the barometer. Yeah.
Okay. It seems so. You're saying it's a term that's crafted specifically to weaponize against white people to play at their guilt. It sounds like. Is that sort of what you're saying?
Yeah, and to
No.
rationalize anti-white sentiment as
It can be used to rationalize
it's
anti-white
used,
sentiment, but I
it was
don't like the
crafted.
idea. Hold on, wait. I don't like the phrasing of it's been crafted in order
Exactly.
to encapsulate white guilt or something. No, I think that white privilege most likely originated as nothing but an academic term, and it has now been abused by a bunch of loser LARPers
but
on
it's
Twitter.
academically stupid. So I am willing to call it crafted.
Well, I mean, we're into semantics here, and I think that your approach is probably better rhetorically, but I do think there's still something to be said that if there is a society in which everybody or black people are treated worse because of their race and white people are not treated worse, then you could also argue that you have a form of white privilege.
You can, but like, how are the? I just don't believe that the millions of people who are poring over this term academically,
Okay,
writing
this is
and reading books.
This is the dumbest semantics argument ever. Okay, you can use these terms in any ways, right? Like if you are a healthy male. Or,
Yeah, but it
I'm talking about-
matters.
If you're, it doesn't. If you're a healthy person in society,
It does.
that's an amazing advantage. That's really good. You have your health. Everybody would speak that way. You're so privileged. You have your health. Even though being healthy should be the default position. Like when we're talking about privileges and advantages, we're usually speaking relative to other people, right? If there are people that are disadvantaged from certain things, if you have your health, that's considered a great advantage. You wouldn't say like, "Wow, you've got your health."
No.
You're considered a great
No.
normal. That's not what it means. It would be like an advantage.
That's.
Just
But
his
no,
argument
when you
that
say when you
that's
say
not-
when you say you're privileged to have your health, you're making a comparative state. You're trying to reframe how we all normally think. We all think being healthy is normal, and you're saying actually you should be grateful for your health.
No, that I don't agree.
Well, you should-
Like
I
if,
mean,
you,
I
if you
think
have a
that
test the
you
next
should
day
be
and you get a
grateful for
full
your
night's
health.
you get a full night's worth of sleep, and somebody's like, "What an awesome advantage! Like, good job! Like, that's great! Like, you have the privilege of being wide awake today when you take your test." You would be like, "That's not a privilege." And when you frame it that way, you're doing a disservice to the people that didn't.
No, I
receive
wouldn't.
that privilege.
No, but the person is obviously saying it to provide an alternate lens for you to look through. They're saying like whatever else is going on in your life, think about your health, your sleep, you have space, you have shit that other people don't have, and like maybe you should feel differently about your life than you do. That's the only reason to say something like that out loud. So the question is, if white privilege is adopted as not just a certain way of looking at things, but like how things are, what does that do to white people? And you're saying it doesn't matter, but I think it does matter.
We agree that you have amazing rhetorical argument.
Or I mean, like, well, let's look at how we want things to be in society. If you were to ask most people, what's our goal for a society? Do we want, in a society with white privilege, do we want everybody to be treated like white people, or do we want everybody to be treated like black people?
Probably
When
better than
BLM,
white people,
when
but
BLM
closer
are
to
looking
white
at like
people.
crime stats, are they saying like the amount of people they get, the amount of black people that get mistreated by the cops is bullshit? We need to get more white people mistreated so that it's fair. Or are they doing the other argument? They're saying like, okay, well, hold on, white people get treated this way, black people get treated this way. We should all be treated like white people, even though they're saying white people have an advantage. They want everybody to enjoy the same advantages, right?
No, black people clearly want it both ways. When Derek Chauvin gets his sentence, or whenever any cop gets off, or anybody, or a school shooter comes out, when a mass shooter comes out alive and the police arrest him, black people are sitting there like they should have
No, they're
fucking
not.
shot that guy
No, they're
35 times in the fucking back.
No, they're
Oh
not.
my god, the tears I have seen, literal people weeping on social media about how this guy didn't go to jail for the rest of his life. Why can't we just have some justice? It would just make me feel so much better if he would
Wanting
just
justice isn't
hang a few,
wanting
just
something
hang a few
incorrect.
white people, just hang some white people. It's just, oh, I'm so sad. I need my justice. It happens all the fucking time. Don't.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a
what's
question?
up?
Should Derek
Yeah,
Chauvin have went to prison?
Did Derek Chauvin ever go to prison? I think
Should
so.
he?
Should
Yeah.
he went to prison?
Oh, should he have gone to prison? I'm pretty anti-jail, so I don't.
In the
I think
society that we
Yeah,
have
in the current
constructed
system,
now,
come on.
in the current system that we have, if you commit murder, do you think separating those people away from the population of what we have jail right now, which is our only solution, do you think that it's just to ask for that justice?
It's the only solution we
Just
have
showing you that
now.
people are asking for what's normal. We want
Yes, I know, but the whole wait, stop. The whole point, my whole problem is that we're assuming that what's normal is this horrible fucking thing that I think is just torturing people.
Well, it's not
So,
horrible.
do
Being
I
white
think
is
Derek-
awesome.
I don't think Derek Chauvin should be tortured for what he did, and I think jail is torture. So no, I don't think he should have gone to jail. But that's I don't think a black person who did the exact same thing should go to jail either. But my problem is that in response to torture,
What do you
in
think there
response
should have
to
been
being-
justice served in some way or
yes,
another?
I don't
Yes,
think
that's what I
revenge is.
expected.
I don't think revenge is justice, and I think
Do you
we
think
live
he
in
was guilty of a
I think,
crime?
motherfucker, let me answer one of these questions. You want to dogpile me? Bring
It
it
just
on.
it sounds
Bring it
like
on, you
weaseling, to be
fucking
honest.
Someone
lefty
put their knee
pussy
on Mr.
bitches.
Girl's neck.
Bring it on. Hop on. There's enough room on this dick for all of you. Okay, to answer your questions one at a time. I don't think that jail is justice. I think jail is torture and revenge. We live in a bloodthirsty society that for some reason has the highest incarceration rate of anywhere in the world, and it's because we're bloodthirsty fucks and we like locking people up and torturing them because we hate them. Two, I know I don't, but just because we've normalized chaining up black people and torturing them doesn't make me want to do it to white people. But my whole point was with white privilege, when you frame it like that, it encourages this kind of sentiment where black people are like, justice would be if you were tortured too. It would just be so wonderful if that would happen to you. I would cry tears of righteousness.
I didn't know you
That's
were
like
the ultra leftist we were talking about earlier. You believe in getting rid of prison? Jesus Christ, what happened?
I believe most people should not go to prison, and then if they do go to prison, it should be to remove them from society, not to torture them.
What would justice look like to you for someone who does commit like the crime that Chauvin did? Like, what would it look like to you?
Chauvin shouldn't be a cop. I don't. Does any of us think that if Derek Chauvin, does any of us think that if Derek Chauvin was not a police officer, that he would have knelt on anybody's neck for 9 minutes?
Who knows?
In broad daylight. Okay.
In
What do you
broad
think?
daylight, no, but maybe in trying to restrain somebody else as a bouncer or maybe at a party or something, maybe he would have.
Okay. Do you think Derek Chauvin should be a bouncer? I don't think so. He's pretty clearly has shown that he is not able to like really read the room and like not kill people.
To castrate him, that's violence. Why would you do such a thing? You're gonna disembowel him from every job that he could possibly
Yeah, what is he
get?
just not allowed to do any physically contacted?
Damn.
Can you work like loss
Yeah,
prevention at like Super Target or is that like?
Yeah, I think so. I think justice. My view of justice is to prevent it from happening again. In my view, what would prevent it from happening again is no security guard, no cop, no jobs where you're restraining people or where a part of your duty would be restraining people. You clearly have shown that you're not able to do that. When I watched the video of Derek Chauvin killing George Floyd, I'm not thinking like that he's a racist or that he's like that there's animosity there. I just think he doesn't know what to do and just did the wrong thing. And I think he felt probably cornered and just kept doubling down on what he was already doing because he didn't want to suffer the humiliation of admitting he was wrong in front of a bunch of people. And he probably didn't think that would result in the guy dying, and then it did. Somebody with that kind of like train of thought should not be a cop.
Yeah, gross negligence. You can make that. If that wants to be your argument, that's cool. But the question is, in your society, people that commit gross negligence, that murder people, what do you like? Are you gonna say, "Oh no, we're just gonna find you a new job"?
Yeah.
Like,
There'd have to be some. You don't think there should be any kind of a punishment, even if it is like your negligence could harm other people, so we should lock you up for a certain amount of time to keep
I don't think you
other
should go
people
to
safe?
jail for being stupid. No, I don't think that's right. I don't think you should be punished for being stupid. And I think Derek Chauvin ultimately is just or was in that situation stupid or even maybe impaired in some way where he did like clearly there's no fucking way he was like, I'm gonna murder this guy in broad daylight with the entire planet watching me.
Well, yeah, of course, but I mean, the fact
Okay,
that
so he didn't
was
kill him on
stupid,
purpose.
he doesn't have to do it on purpose. It's the fact that he had negligence and then was also a cop, which means he had a higher degree of
Yes, so
responsibility.
to me that
placed on
speaks to a systemic problem where clearly it might not even be a systemic problem. It might not even be a systemic problem because this doesn't happen that often. Maybe it's just that it looks like it happens a lot because whenever it happens, everybody talks about it on social media, so it seems like a big statistical issue. Or maybe it's just like, well, this shit just happens sometimes. When we have a group of people who run around, their job is to lock you up and contort your body into different positions. So once in a while, it's going to kill you.
And like that, but it is definitely indicative of a systemic problem. Not that there's a.
I don't know if it actually is. I don't know.
Well, I know that it is. I know that it is because we have statistics which show that black people are more likely to and do get killed by cops at disproportionate rates. This doesn't mean that all of them are dying the same way that Derek or that George Floyd did.
I don't think that's actually true.
I think that if we wipe our minds from
so.
all of the
Absolutely.
if we wipe our minds from all the media we've seen, from all of the lines we've been fed, from all the ideologies we have, And I think we watch the videos and we look at everything that happened with George Floyd and Derek Chauvin. I think any honest actor would obviously say Chauvin was not trying to kill George Floyd. That almost certainly wasn't happening. If you look at his facial expressions, you look at everything that's going on, seems like he was probably trying to restrain him. He wasn't taking him seriously when he said he couldn't couldn't breathe, because Floyd literally said that like 15 times during the encounter when he was in the backseat and clearly could breathe.
He wasn't taking him seriously when he didn't have a pulse either. Like,
sure,
yeah,
no, hold on. Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on.
Just trying to.
Yeah, he's obviously he's
Somebody
doubling.
checked his pulse and he stayed on him. Like, what are you talking about?
He's doubling. He's doubling down because he's okay. Never mind.
No, I agree.
keep going.
No. You have to appeal to a reasonable person. You think a reasonable person would continue restraining someone without a pulse?
Yeah,
No,
I think that he wasn't a reasonable person at the point where there are 50 people around him with cameras screaming at him, where he's got a guy on the ground and like everything is fucked. I don't think he's acting reasonably at that point in time. But in your world, hold on, the flip side is in your world, do you think that he's like trying to make sure that he's dead? No, of course not.
I don't need to rationalize. I just call it gross negligence.
Sure, yeah, that's great. I think hopefully even Mr. Groh would agree. Gross negligence, absolutely.
Oh,
for
absolutely.
sure. Yeah, absolutely. Easily.
Yeah, but I don't think we should put people in jail for gross negligence. In Hunter, I don't believe that the police kill black people disproportionately.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and pull up some stats and then
Pull 'em up.
talk about how you're wrong.
Well,
I thought we were talking about like white grievances. We went into.
We would say though.
reparations and,
Well, never mind. That's all.
okay. So anyway, what I was saying, what
Let me investigate.
I was saying is
Justice shall be swift. Let the hunt
that the white privilege thing comes into play, the way it affects people with the criminal justice system, where you are more like yes, people will weep for the black person who is overly policed and overly sentenced and overly shot, but they also weep when they see a white person not get shot when they shouldn't be shot. So a white person who commits a mass shooting, drops their gun and comes out with their hands up, should not be murdered, but you will see tons of progressives, many of them black, complaining about the fact that they were not murdered by the police, and that is sick, that is weird, that is bad, and I think that the use of the term white privilege definitely encourages this sentiment of like, well, if it's going to happen to me, it should fucking happen to you too.
So I want to build a bridge with you. Yes, I agree with you that those people exist. I think a bigger majority of black people look at that situation and says, I wish I had my day in court instead of being killed. I think that's the most common sentiment. So are there like situations where
I'm not trying to say that it's like, yes, I think we're both speaking in generalizations. So I'm not saying that that's every black person or every leftist or whatever. I'm just saying that the sentiment is there.
I agree. Yeah. I think,
and it is fueled by people who spread misinformation, like Hunter here, who go around saying that black people are disproportionately shot by the police.
Okay,
in
so
huge
let's
numbers.
See.
When
Whoa, stop.
This is
right
not
off the bat.
true.
No, right off the bat, you just lied about me. I never said in massive numbers. I said they are disproportionately more likely to get killed by the police. That is exactly what I said, and that is exactly what I found right here. From these growing data sets comes some disturbing findings. This is from nature.com, by the way. About 1,000 civilians are killed each year by law enforcement officers in the United States. By one estimate, black men are 2.5 times more likely than white men to be killed by police during their lifetime. And in another study, people...
That's true. Wait, but that doesn't mean it's disproportionate, though.
Seem to be twice as likely as white people to be unarmed.
Yes. That
This
also
is disproportionate. Yes. They're more likely...
Hold on, wait, real quick, just on this too.
Than white people.
Wait,
that is
hold on.
disproportionate.
Just real quick, that twice likely to be unarmed or whatever. Keep in mind that my understanding is that these numbers are very low. It's like 19 black people versus like 9 white people. We're not talking like huge numbers. If you could find those, it'd be great. But isn't it something like 20 black unarmed people are killed a year by cops? It's not like in the hundreds.
I never said it was huge numbers.
Sure, I know, but I'm just saying that when we say that like there's like a 30% chance higher.
Wait, let me
No, I'm not done yet.
I want to respond to your bogus statistics.
Well, I'm not done yet. Is that another quote-unquote bogus statistic to read you?
Well, you're gish galloping. Dick, will you?
This is not gish galloping. I'm responding to.
Yeah, let me go back and forth. I want to add context. Just like if you were saying that black people commit more crimes, I would say, well, hold on, I want to add some context to this because that's not fair.
You got to keep it short so he can do his other stat though.
Okay. Black people commit way more violent crimes than white people. So when you and it's not because they're black, not a genetic thing, but it does happen. And the
Yeah, you
support
added ad
context.
libs. You should do that
There's
with
no-
white power too. You added ad libs because you were uncomfortable with what usually is said in that term. I'm just showing you how you do exactly everything
Okay.
we were talking about earlier. No, go ahead. Ben.
More lumber is required.
I'm trying to cut off the road that he would have to say that. So I'm preempting. Given that black people commit so many more violent crimes than white people, you would expect them to be policed more and shot more by the police. And also, there's tons of shit you can do, even while unarmed, to get the police to shoot you, and they are, by their own rules, they are justified in shooting you for doing so. So that's not 2.5 times more likely to be like innocently sitting there and shot for no reason. There's plenty of shit you can do to get shot by the police when you're unarmed. And I believe that black people in America today are more likely, statistically, to do those things. So the idea that police are just shooting people because they're black, rather than shooting people because of corollary factors that are present and because they are black, is, I think, not true.
This goes back to the entire systemic problem, which is what started this whole conversation to begin with. You're right, there is higher rates of crime amongst black communities. Why is that? Because there are higher rates of poverty amongst black communities. Why is that? Because of redlining, which was a racist policy that negatively impacted black people disproportionately.
But
so
I think when you say...
Hold on, wait. You have higher rates of police brutality against black people, and even possibly unarmed black people. That's why that one part of the study was relevant. And the reason for that is due to systemic racism. So what you had said originally, you said that I claimed there was a massive amount of black people getting shot. I never said anything like that. I simply said that black people were more likely to, disproportionately, face violence from police, and that is true, even if you try to explain it via crime rates. The reason the crime rates are the way they are is also because of systemic inequalities.
Well, no, I agree with that. But when you say disproportionately... When you say disproportionately shot by police, I thought the implication was that the decision to shoot is imbued with racial prejudice, when I think that's not often the case.
Well, there are some studies that show that where they've had...
Which is based off racial prejudice.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Sure.
it's
a question.
Mr. Girl is right when he adds the fact that there are higher crime rates in those communities, yes. But there have also been studies where they'll take police officers and put them in a algorithm, or not an algorithm, but in a virtual setting, and they are found to be way more trigger happy when it comes to black suspects.
Yes.
Wait,
Then
hold
what?
on. I could be so wrong on this. I thought it was actually the opposite with those implicit bias tests. I thought that when they tested it, police officers were more reluctant to shoot at black people than white people.
You're right.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
almost
think so.
positive I remember seeing
There may
that.
have been more than one. I know that the one.
I mean, it probably depends on whether it was done in 2020 or before.
I think there were two different factors. One was how fast they would shoot, and one was they would shoot more. And I think there was a difference in those two statistics, and that's where our disagreement could be coming from. I think there were two different things that we're measuring.
Do you have statistics on which of those shootings and how many were found to be justified after the fact? Because I think that would, the overall statement of is there systemic racism or racism at all in shootings, that would probably be part of it.
When you
I would
add,
think.
I mean, I can scroll through it. I didn't even
was
read the second stat yet, which showed that it is still the highest. Risk is highest for black men who face about a 1 in 1,000 chance of being killed by police over the life course. The average lifetime odds being killed by police are about 1 in 2,000 for men and about 1 in 33,000 for women. Risk peaks between the age of 20 and 35 years old. For young men of color, police use of force is among the leading causes of death.
Yeah, but this is like the interesting part that Mr. Girl brought up is let's say that we have 10 people, okay? 5 white people, 5 black people. Let's say that we give 5 black people drugs and we send them outside, and the white people have no drugs and we send them outside. Let's say that the cops arrest all 5 black people. When we look at that, when we analyze that situation, do we say police officers are arresting a disproportionate amount of black people? Even though it's true, and even though those black people are getting arrested due to, in a way, systemic racism, giving them the drugs, at the time when the policing is happening, is that a systemic inequality, or is that what we would naturally expect? Would it not be the case that if they weren't arresting them at the rates they were, there would actually be a problem there because they are committing more crime due to systemic injustices, but to ignore the arrest rates or to ignore the crime happening at that point would actually be a bad thing? That's like the question. I don't know how the numbers play out on that, but that's the question that Mr. Girl is raising.
I also think you're making a strong implication because we're talking about George Floyd and Derek Chauvin. So in the context of that, it doesn't sound like you're just talking about the systemic issues that put them both in the position that they were in. It sounds like you're saying, what do we do with cops who kill black people who are not posing a threat? And then if you say right after that you go into cops shoot black people in disproportionate numbers, it feels like you're saying that they shoot them disproportionately to encounters with black people, not that they encounter them disproportionately but shoot them at the same rates that they shoot white people.
I believe
my
right, but I thought that it was higher rates or higher likelihood of them shooting black people than white people. That's where the disproportionate factor.
I think per encounter, I don't think that's true.
From my memory, it's been a long time, I can't remember the study, but I think, wasn't it, it was like for shooting, they were actually a fraction of a second more likely to shoot white suspects, but for every other form of violence, they were more likely to go for black people. Was that not it?
Was that by that Harvard professor guy, Fryer?
Yeah.
Yeah, that study was actually debut.
I have a question for the panel. Does it matter that we're missing the definitions of how black people are shot? Like, is this relevant to that we can't even determine on what exactly is systemic racist?
I think so. Well, I think what I wanted to say is that the messaging. Okay, all of us are way more conservative in our stances than the average, like, progressive. Like, if you take a bunch of super progressive, especially streamers, they wouldn't make it this far in the conversation. Most people would be like, what are you talking about? Cops are murdering KKK, blah, 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 blah. Like, we all know that. But that narrative is so prevalent and so out there that I think it colors how we interpret a incident like George Floyd.
If you used a different example, I'd be more willing to
I am the Iron Hand.
agree with you. But for sure, I get your point. Your overall point.
Well, what do you think, Andrew?
What do I think about what? Which part of this conversation?
I don't know. Whatever you're saying you disagree with.
I think the Derek Chauvin case was with such gross negligence that I think it's a defensible position to say that potentially